from you where you are from. You could let us know in the chat what your state country is. We're very interested to hearing that. And as you can see, we'll be getting started in about a couple minutes. From Kanpur, someone Delhi. Maybe Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, another person from Delhi, Bangalore, Maharashtra, and so you can see we have Professor Sandeep Shukla here with us. He'll be taking us through much of the session, conversation with me. Another person from Bangalore. So welcome to everybody. Glad to see you here this evening. Odisha. And we're So I hope everybody is eager to hear what Professor Shukla has to say. Okay. Very good. All right, and welcome everyone. We are going to be talking about blockchain and blockchain careers in today's session. As I mentioned, we have Professor Sandeep Shukla here from IIT Kanpur. And just before we get started, a couple of basic grants I want to set. There we go. We'd like you to put your questions in the Q&A box in Zoom. That will help us keep track of them separately from the chat stream. It makes it easier for us when we get to the Q&A section of the presentation. We'll be able to find them easier. Session's being recorded. You will get a follow-up email with a link to this recording and information about the bonus offer. And to request approved attendance after the webinar, please put your name into the survey that will appear after you leave. Helpful to us to get your information about the webinar in the survey, as well as hearing from you what you'd like to get as a follow-up. So I want to ask a couple of questions about you. The first one is, how much experience do you have in the workplace? It's not experience with blockchain, but experience in the workplace in general. I'll leave this open for about 15 more seconds. Gives us a appreciation of who's in our audience with us today. I will close the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Poll. And we have an audience that's predominantly students today. Welcome, people studying for the degree. And then the next largest group of people are people who have more than 5 years of experience. So welcome to you as well. We're going to be talking about, of course, as you've seen with this poll question, we'll be talking about blockchain, the technology and the career field. We'll cover what the IIT Kanpur offers you, how it gets you job ready. We'll also talk about enrollment steps and the bonus offer that I mentioned, and we'll cover your questions. So I'm Stuart Creek. I am from Simplilearn, one online boot camp in the world. We've been doing this for over 13 years and have helped 5 million professionals and counting in 150 countries learn new digital skill for the digital economy. So we're very proud that IIT Kanpur chose to partner with us for this program. We deliver the program for them on their behalf. So with us today is Dr. Shukla, and I will let Dr. Shukla give himself a more introduction and tell you about his background.
Okay, so good evening, everybody. So I am Professor Sandeep Shukla. I am a professor of computer science and engineering at the Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur. In terms of my area of interest and expertise, I work in cybersecurity and blockchain technology. And I am currently the coordinator of the National Blockchain Project funded by the National Security Council, Government of India at IIT Kanpur. I also coordinate the Interdisciplinary Center for Cybersecurity and Cyber Defense of Critical Infrastructure, or C3I Center. I'm also a program director for the Technology Innovation Hub on Cybersecurity, or C3I Hub. I did my graduate school in at the State University of New York in Albany, and I worked for Intel, I worked for Verizon, and then I was a professor at Virginia Tech in Virginia, USA for about 14 years. And then I moved to India, and now for last almost 8 years, I am now with IIT Kanpur.
Thank you. And you're at the forefront of two of the most new technology areas in today. One is, and the other is cybersecurity. So we're pleased to have you with us for this discussion. So we're going to talk about blockchain as a career field, but to set the stage, I think it's important for people to understand blockchain as a technology. So can you give us the view of what blockchain is? We hear the word a lot, but what is it actually?
Yeah. So blockchain is a kind of a distributed ledger technology. So whenever we do any kind of real world application, we have processes that actually need to interact with data, transform the data from one stage to the other. For example, when you are making a payment through, let's say, internet banking, you are basically going through your account database. You log into your account, and then you fetch data from your account database. Then you create a transaction. That transaction does some action on the data by debiting the amount to your account ledger, and then it actually sends information to the receiving bank, and the receiving bank again looks at its database and puts the appropriate action on that database. Now, if you think about this, this means that there are multiple different entities: your bank, the recipient bank, and maybe also in the middle, some kind of a other entity. And these entities are looking at data that are in silos, that are not visible to each other. So when your account is visible only to your bank, and the recipient's account is only visible to their bank. Now, this means that there is a lot of possibility of inconsistency arising. There is a possibility of friction, which would reduce the efficiency, and also the banks have to later on do a reconciliation among themselves. So this makes this kind of multi-party processes very inefficient and very problematic. So in order to reduce this friction, and in order to make things transparent to all the parties involved, you can actually think about a shared ledger, a ledger that is shared across all parties. Now, when you share a ledger across all parties, then you have to also worry about that this ledger may become inconsistent. If there are malicious parties involved, then they can try to make the ledger state some problematic. So therefore, there has to be some method of validation and some method of reaching a consensus among these various parties about the state of the ledger or state of the accounts. So that's what this distributed ledger technology is all about. Now, one of the distributed ledger technology is blockchain. In blockchain, the data that is stored in a shared way is actually replicated. The same ledger is replicated in every party's own machine. So these ledgers, therefore, may become inconsistent with each other, and that's why there is an expensive process called consensus that is required. Now, also, so that no party can actually go back and revise some data from the past, there is a process of keeping the data secure by using cryptographic techniques. So in particular, hashing techniques. So each block is a hash is computed for that block, and that hash is put into the next block. So this way, there is the arrows that you are seeing in this picture are basically notional arrows. These are basically saying that the hash of block n is in block n plus 1, and hash of block n plus 1 is in hash in block n plus 2. So as a result, if you want to change something in block n, you have to also change the hash of block n in block n plus 1, which in turn will require a change of the hash of n plus 1 in n plus 2, and so on. So therefore, if anybody wants to unilaterally change the data, then they have to actually make sure that all the succeeding blocks change, which is a very time-consuming, computationally expensive process. Plus, you have to have consensus on every block across all the parties. Therefore, this becomes almost impossible. And that is what is called a tamper-proof ledger that is at least, if not tamper-proof, it's tamper-resistant. So that's what blockchain is. It's basically a data structure which is replicated across multiple parties, and the replicated data structure, even though it is replicated, it has to be always kept consistent with each other. which requires expensive processes, which makes it very difficult for anybody to unilaterally change past data. So that is what blockchain is all about.
Yeah, thank you for that, because it clarifies the meaning behind the buzzword. Everybody's heard of blockchain, everybody's heard of Bitcoin, but it's great to get that insight in really means and how it really works. So we talked about transformation of the digital economy and cryptocurrency and Bitcoin were the original application for blockchain. But can you talk about how it's kind of pervading other areas of business, of commerce, government?
Yeah, so the blockchain technology was invented to support cryptocurrency. So Bitcoin in 2009 came about as first as a white paper, and also as a proof of concept implementation, which has now taken its own life. And there is also the value of Bitcoin has become very high, and that itself has given rise to many different cryptocurrencies other than Bitcoin, which are called altcoins. And there is a whole economy around it, but that is not what is most interesting about blockchain, because cryptocurrencies are interesting. They have given a good investment opportunity to a lot of people, but people also have lost money by betting on cryptocurrency. But the technology that was created to support cryptocurrency has many other transformative potentials, because, as I said, that blockchain is basically about multiple parties working together on data, right? So there is data and there is a workflow that processes the data from one party to another. And this process is often ridden with various problems. For example, suppose you want to keep track of where your vegetables, which field your vegetables came from. And why do you want to track that? Is because suppose that vegetable is found to have E. coli in it, and it has to be retracted from the market. But not if every vegetable of that kind has the E. coli bacteria in it. So you do not want to throw away all the vegetables of that kind. Let's say spinach. So what you would do is that you would find the original supply location and the original supply farm where this vegetable was sourced. And how do you keep track of this? So this is done through supply chain. Now, if you think about supply chain, a spinach starting from the farm comes through transportation companies, comes through maybe warehouses, and then comes to main distribution station. Then it gets distributed to various markets and so on. So at various points, you have to keep track of which bunch of spinach is actually from which location. So to keep track of this, you may have multiple different computer systems which are used by the distributor, which is used by the transportation company, which is used by the farm, which is used by the grocery chain, and which is used by the final grocery supplies grocery store. Now the data then will be actually in the different silos. At the different parties will have their own data, and very quickly this thing becomes inconsistent with each other. So in such situations, it's a blockchain, a shared ledger where everybody is writing and reading from the same ledger, would actually make it much more trustworthy. And that's what blockchain gives you, right? That gives you a trustworthy source of truth, incontrovertible source of truth. So similarly, when you have vaccines, COVID vaccines, it went through from the factory where it was manufactured all the way to the final destination where patients are actually administered the vaccine. In the middle, it has to go through various things, transportation and so on, warehousing and so on. And every place, it has to be in a certain temperature. So this is called a cold chain, cold supply chain. And in order to know whether the vaccine was ever been through a high temperature so that I cannot use that vaccine anymore, I need to have a trustworthy way of verifying that this vaccine was never outside a required temperature. So a blockchain-based solution would allow creating such a tracking system much more easily than any other type of siloed systems. So there are also other kinds of systems like payment systems, cross-border payment systems, and so on. So blockchain has many different potentials. It also allows you to actually tokenize real world assets. So you can actually have a token residing on the blockchain whose life cycle is managed by special programs that only work on blockchain called smart contracts. And you can actually have tokenization of your assets. And that way you can sell your property, for example, if it is tokenized on a blockchain, by just selling the token, because token gives you a proof of ownership. So thereby you are creating taking an illiquid asset that cannot be really monetized quickly, to a liquid asset, because you can easily make a purchase and you can easily sell your real estate and things like that. So you can actually have asset tokenization on blockchain. So these things are coming up. This many different transformative applications have come up, and that gives rise to interest in blockchain technology across the world. And of course, many of these things are still in the process of being legalized, regulated. Various things are coming up, but in general, the interest is high and potential is high. The only question is that whether it is going to take off. Like, are people really going to take tokenization of real world assets seriously, or are supply chains going to be transformed through blockchain technology? These are certain things that are yet to be seen, but at least there is a huge amount of interest, and there is a growth in this sector, as you can see in this, that there is a very large percentage growth per year, cumulative growth, and then spending is also increasing quite rapidly, which gives rise to job opportunities and so on.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's fascinating that one of the aspects of blockchain is the tie-in with security of transactions. So we talked about tokenization of real estate, and one of the things that happens commonly in the United States now is that because the ownership of property is regulated at the local level, it's possible to go into a county recorder's office and put a record of sale the owner of the property actually knows nothing about. So with blockchain technology, you would be able to prevent that from happening, because you would have more controls over the chain of ownership and history of transactions. So we're hoping that things like that will take over. And it's something that everybody is thinking of. These are just a few fairly recent headlines from the news about blockchain. You can see at the lower right-hand corner is what I was just talking about, blockchain tech, solving the problem of title fraud in real estate. European country going in on blockchain in the financial sector. Crunchbase, which is a tech job and tech industry overview company, is looking at blockchain as one of the hot employment areas. Everybody's asking about it. So this is kind of a top of mind topic for people in technology and industry, yes?
Yeah, yeah.
People are, some of the leaders in business or prominent names in business are talking about blockchain as a way to provide a kind of tangible quantitative proof of things happening rather than um, things based on signatures and having to trust the party that countersigns, right?
Yes. So as I was describing that if you have multiple different parties and they need to have a trusted source of truth on which they can act on, a shared ledger is required. Now, blockchain technology actually means that you have to replicate the ledger on in every party's machines, and you have to also make sure that these uh, different copies are consistent with each other, and that's expensive process. So one could say that, well, why not have one of the parties to keep the ledger, and every party will connect through an API call or some kind of way to actually transact on that data. The problem is that who do you trust with the data? Whoever you trust, they can unilaterally tamper the data, right? So there is a problem of trust. That's why we cannot keep the ledger with a single party or in a centralized location. So that's why we actually keep the copy of the data with everybody and do mathematical protocols and techniques and cryptographic techniques to make sure that these are consistent with each other and this cannot be tampered with by a single party or two parties, etc. And therefore, blockchain basically creates trust in a trustless environment where the parties do not necessarily trust each other, but because the way the blockchain technology has been created, the parties do not necessarily have to trust each other, but they can still trust the blockchain as a source of truth because it has been mathematically guaranteed to be tamper resistant, and also they are consistent due to the distributed consensus algorithm. So that's what it is. And because of that, so basically it can replace a centralized way of keeping a ledger to keep making everybody in the network responsible for keeping the ledger as a source of truth. And that's what the second quote here means, that it basically shifts the power from centers to the edges of the network, right? So every network participant is responsible for keeping the ledger correct, tamper-free, and also valid. And and the third quote here basically says that, as I was describing to you, supply chain, you again need a transparent way of sharing data, and but you cannot trust a single party or centralized party to keep the trusted data. So you basically create a blockchain technology based way of sharing data and working on the data. So that's what the third the Jeannie Rometty from IBM is saying. And then the last one is basically saying that even in securities market, in the stock market, if we use blockchain technology, it may actually change the way the markets work. And also there is, you might have heard about Web3 and future internet, more decentralized internet. So that's what is supposed to happen as the next evolution of the internet. So internet has been through a lot of transformation since it started, but with the blockchain technology or DLT, the distributed ledger technology, the web, the way we interact with the web, etc., will change. That's the hope of the blockchain technologists.
Yeah, and to that, couple points. One is to the IBM quote. Anything that where you're looking at a change of state can happen, where a transaction can happen or a physical movement, something can happen. Any kind of event or change of state can happen. That's something that can be represented blockchain, yeah?
Yeah. Yes.
So that you can then, as you were talking about, things as diverse as the supply chain for vaccines or the chain of ownership of real estate or
Yeah.
the possession of crypto, all of those things can be represented in the blockchain. But then to the last point you made about Web3, this has to do also with the ability of creators of content to control their own
Right.
content ownership rather than relying on third parties. How does that work, by the way? That's an
Yeah.
interesting question.
You see, currently the way Web 2.0 works is that we upload our content in the servers of Facebook, Google, etc. Right, and therefore we lose the control over our own content. The Facebook or Google can, or whoever can use the content that we upload for monetization and various other things, and YouTube gives you a small fraction of what you actually, what advertisement revenue they make from your content, right? So now the people are saying that if I create the content, it has to be I have to have sovereign control on that content. Now, how do you do that? If you don't want to upload it into some third party or centralized entities servers, what you can do is you can run your own servers and connect it to a system by which you actually list your content, the metadata of your content. And if somebody wants to watch your video or watch your images or whatever you want to share, they can actually do that by actually first transferring some tokens to your account. So then these tokens you can later monetize these tokens by selling it to an exchange or whatever. But idea is that one cannot watch the content without paying something. Now you can also make some of your content free. So it doesn't mean that every content will become sellable. But when you want to build your reputation, you might make your content for free, and then later on, when you become popular, you can actually make your content chargeable by some kind of blockchain based tokens, and these tokens can later be monetized through an exchange or whatever system you may have. So that is what the dream of the Web3 is, and we'll see how it pans out. It's rather tall order, but there is attempt towards that.
But thank you for that explanation, because that clarifies how this is going to change people's lives in ways we hadn't expected. So to be able to be a practitioner in this field, you have to have a kind of well-rounded set of skills around the different aspects of how blockchains work, what the technology behind them is, and then some of the applications. Can you kind of discuss some of these things that we see here? Some of them are skills, some of them are platforms.
Yeah, so the blockchain technology is actually is becoming vast and more extensive on a daily basis. So obviously, in a certification course, you cannot learn everything. What we plan to do, or we try to do, is to actually give you the very fundamental basis on which you can build. You can build your expertise further. So certain things that you have to know, like for example, Bitcoin is a blockchain where the blockchain major concepts of blockchain, for example, the block structure, the hash pointers, the idea of public key cryptography based identity, the idea of transactions and making blocks out of transactions, the idea of consensus by a particular consensus algorithm called proof of work. All these concepts together was infused into the Bitcoin blockchain. So first thing you have to learn in any blockchain learning exercise, you have to learn Bitcoin, even if you do not use Bitcoin for, ever again, because that gives you the very basic understanding of the underpinning technology. Now, to do this, you have to learn what is a block and how the blocks are connected to each other through hashing, how the transactions are put into a specific data structure called Merkle trees, why the Merkle tree, not something else. All these fundamental concepts you have to learn. You also have to learn some basic cryptography and hashing and public key cryptography, etc., to know how to use the blockchain. And then, since you are learning Bitcoin, you will learn about cryptocurrency, even though not every blockchain is about cryptocurrency. So, but Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency blockchain. It was created to bypass the standard banking system and create its own money, and then make that money inflation resistant and so on. So those things you have to learn. Now Bitcoin actually has this limitation that it did not have the right kind of programmability. For example, you cannot program a complex logic of, if this happens, then this transaction should happen, and if that transaction happens in sufficient number of times, then this third other transaction should happen. Sometimes when you build an application on blockchain, you need that kind of complex sequence of transactions, and program that sequence of transactions so that you do not have to manually do them. And this is done by a notion of programmability called smart contracts. So Ethereum was the blockchain that came after Bitcoin, where it basically addressed this issue of programmability of transactions. And so Ethereum is extremely important to learn after Bitcoin, to know that the blockchain is not about just putting transactions in blocks and keeping them tamper resistant and so on. I can actually build very autonomous activities on blockchain, and making sure that these autonomous activities are validated by everybody, every party makes sure that every step of the activities on the data are actually happening correctly and in a valid manner, and by the right person or right entity. So that's where we learn Ethereum. So learning Ethereum, programming in Ethereum's smart contract language called Solidity, this is very important. So this is what you have to also learn in any blockchain course that you would imagine. And obviously the methods of consensus, there are many different methods of consensus. Bitcoin has a proof of work consensus. Ethereum now has a proof of stake consensus. There is Byzantine fault tolerant consensus. So different types of consensus. You will not learn every possible consensus, but you will learn why consensus is needed and how proof of work works and how proof of stake works and so on. Now it turns out that Bitcoin or Ethereum has this disadvantage that everything is visible to everybody, which leads to a problem when the blockchain applications are to be used on enterprise applications, where a lot of the information is not supposed to be public. It can be shared across various parties involved in a transaction, but not by everybody. In Bitcoin and Ethereum, everybody can see all the transactions, and therefore there are permission blockchains, and that's the first such blockchain that became popular was Hyperledger. So Hyperledger is also something you have to learn as an example, and as probably the most popular example of a permission ledger, permission blockchain. And then you will learn, a few other blockchain things like which are variants of this permission blockchain, like Corda. You will also learn that all DLT is not just blockchain structures. There are other structures, like, for example, DAG structure, directed acyclic graph structure, like in IOTA blockchain. So you will learn a little bit of that, so that you know that various other types of blockchain or DLT technology exists. So this is what and you have to understand how the different nodes or different parties communicate with each other in a peer-to-peer networking paradigm. All that stuff you have to learn. So once you learn all this, then you are self-sufficient to learn a new blockchain. Let's say tomorrow somebody says you have to develop something on Solana blockchain. Even if you don't learn it in the course, you will know exactly, once you read the documents of Solana, you will know exactly what is happening and how to write programs on Solana and etc. So you will be able to do it. Or tomorrow, if somebody wants you to do in a Polygon blockchain, you will be able to just read the manual and you will be up and running. So that's what this is. When we say that blockchain expertise requires a full complement of skills and lists these we think is that fundamental to the concepts and fundamental to the basics of blockchain. Like if you are learning programming, you cannot learn all programming languages in one course. You will learn C or C++ or Java or Python or something. But later on in your day-to-day work, if you say have to program in Rust or some other language, you will pick up like anything. So that's the idea here.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's the analogy with programming is that there's learning the languages, and then there's learning about data structures and algorithms, which are language independent and give you the fundamentals so that you can take what you know about using a particular language and, like you said, apply it to a different one. So same thing with knowing about the fundamentals of blockchain, how different platforms work, gives you the key to being able to adapt to new ones. So there's a lot of different potential roles in this industry that people can come into, and your career path can kind of follow whatever aspect of technology that you find fascinating, right?
Yes. So if you are good in programming and if you like to program for developing application, then you become a blockchain developer, right? So you develop applications on top of blockchain that are enterprise applications or Web3 applications and so on. Now, most blockchains are interacted with by users. So users have to interact through some kind of a user-friendly interface. So you may actually become an interface designer. So that's the blockchain web and user experience designer type of activities. In that case, your programming skills are different. You will learn JavaScript and that kind of HTML5 and those kind of languages. If you are very good with software architecture, you know how to build large scale software with many different components and their interaction and all that stuff, then you may become a blockchain solution architect. So your solution architect requires a different level of experience with blockchain technology as well as software architecting software systems. Blockchain engineers are people who will actually maintain a blockchain, make sure that the networking works, make sure that all the components work with each other. Blockchain analyst could be actually somebody who analyzes the requirements and create blockchain-based solutions. Project manager will look after a blockchain-based project being executed by the engineers and developers and UX designers and solution architect and so on. There is also a legal aspect of blockchain, as I was saying, that many of these things are still awaiting regulatory frameworks because a lot of it is involving assets and so on, which is attracting regulatory attention. Like Europe recently passed a MiCA, which is about the virtual asset regulation. So there are legal issues. So there are a lot of lawyers who are techno lawyers who are also interested in blockchain technology and how to formulate the laws and regulations about the applications that are developed on blockchain.
Great. So these are, it's not an exhaustive list here, but these are, gives you a feel for how you can take this set of skills and move in different directions. As we pointed out before, the market is growing at a blistering pace. So uh, the salaries available when you move into getting some experience in the industry can be pretty substantial, yes?
Yeah, so these numbers look rather low here, but yeah, I mean, this if you are good in what you are doing, of course, completing a certificate doesn't mean you are good at it. So you have to also learn the subject. You have to also practice developing or engineering blockchain-based solutions. Imagine where you can apply blockchain, where it makes sense to actually apply blockchain. Not every problem requires a blockchain-based solution. If you are going to do that kind of understanding, if you have that kind of understanding, so that kind of practice and so on, you can attract very good salary, because in blockchain technology is the skill. There is a skill shortage in the country. Therefore, I think these numbers are rather on the lower side, but it makes sense.
Okay. We just looked at Glassdoor India and saw listings of which companies are hiring people with blockchain skills, and this is just a sampling of them. But you can see that a lot of them are in the consultant space, such as TCS or Accenture, PwC,
Yeah.
and some of them are in the industrial space or the information technology space. But really, as you pointed out with some of the other examples, blockchain, for example, is heavily used in financial sector, and almost every industry either does or will be using blockchain. I think that's one of the reasons why you see consultants coming in, because they're helping industries understand what the purpose of this technology is and how to apply it. Yes, so
Yeah,
you see
so
it. Go
currently,
ahead.
so currently, most of these organizations are actually either experimenting with blockchain-based solutions to actually see whether they can deliver solutioning with blockchain where there is demand and there is fit, but also in some cases they are actually doing. Based on the customer demands, not so I think that a lot of these hirings are actually right now for their experimentation, consulting, and solutioning for customers. But if things take off, then there will be a lot more companies involved.
Yeah. So the future is very bright ahead. This kind of reiterates what you were saying about the breadth of skills, and this just points out some of
Right.
the different platforms and tools that people
Correct.
use.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so we already discussed about why we need to learn these things, right?
yeah. So a question for the audience is: you're all here because you're interested in blockchain technology. We looked at other potential certification programs. What has stopped you from taking that step? Is it because you can't find a program that's as comprehensive as what the professor described? Is it because you are concerned that you wouldn't get practical experience in a certification program? Is it because of the learning style, the teaching style, or is it because of time constraints in your work and personal schedule? So I'll leave this open just for another couple of seconds. We'll close it in 3, 2, 1. Share the result here. And the primary concern, Professor, as you can see, is that people want to make sure that they'll get some practical experience, hands-on examples of the work that they've learned to do. And then they're also concerned about comprehensive curriculum and the flexibility for their work schedule. So those are the concerns that people are telling us they have in the audience today. And so this program is designed to address that, correctly?
Right.
So you've got a curriculum that we'll talk about in a moment that's comprehensive and industry aligned. IIT Kanpur works with many employers and companies and organizations, government agencies. So you have a good pulse, finger on the pulse of what they're looking for in terms of skill sets and what people can be.
Yeah. So as I said before, that let's say a company is looking for somebody who is working on, I don't know, like Polygon, and we are training people with the very fundamental concepts, programming concepts and ideas, also hands-on on Ethereum and Hyperledger and all that stuff. So the question will be that will the person will the company that is using a different blockchain hire somebody here? The answer is that if they will not expect that everybody coming through their door is knowing Solana. What they will expect is that they understand blockchain, they understand why it is needed, where it is needed, how to create programmable systems using blockchain, using smart contract programming. And they get that assurance from their interviews and maybe some hands-on, then they will accept you. So in other words, the specific language or specific blockchain platform is not the issue. The issue is that whether what you are supposed to know in terms of fundamentals of blockchain and how it is created and how to set up your own, let's say, permission small blockchain, how to write smart contracts in at least one of the languages, like Solidity for Ethereum, or even Go, or some other language in case of Hyperledger. If you can prove that about yourself, then you can get the job. But that said, don't expect that if you just give the minimal effort and you will be the job ready. So you have to work really hard through the course, do all the assignments correctly, and make sure that you do additional studies, additional reading, and additional practice. Create your own portfolio of application design with blockchain. Then you will have a very good possibility.
Yeah, and that one of the aspects of how the Simplilearn platform works to deliver this program. It gives you the ability to take online classes with instructors like Professor Shukla, and also to do the hands-on case studies and programming projects with the virtual environment that's provided to you. So you don't have to acquire software or have a dedicated system for doing your work on. It's provided to you through the online interface, which means that other than the scheduled times of the live classes, you can access that learning management system anytime, so that you can, like the professor said, do the self-study pre-work for the classes, or review concepts, or rewatch a class that you attended if you want to catch up or reinforce the concepts. All of that's available to you 24/7. So this is an intensive program. It's 4 months. Where we talk about devoting about 5 to 10 hours a week of time. So if you can find that in your schedule, you can succeed in completing this. You'll get 70 hours or so of applied online learning, and it will culminate with the certificate that's issued by IIT Kanpur, and you'll have done a number of hands-on projects which will go into your portfolio. That includes a final project that kind of does an end-to-end demonstration of your ability to apply blockchain technology. And along the way, you have the option of taking master classes from faculty members such as yourself, right, Professor?
Right. So IIT Kanpur provides the master classes, monthly master classes.
And those go into more of
Those
the
go into additional, advanced topics that may not be covered in the class, but just to give people flavor of what newest things that are happening in blockchain, including things like primes in cryptocurrency and things like that.
Yeah, it's great because the coursework keeps you kind of heads down focused on learning the technology, but the master classes let you take kind of put your head up and see what's going on in the industry. And of all of the institutions in the world, IIT Kanpur is best situated to give you this expertise. As I mentioned, it's the home to India's national blockchain project, of which you are the director, Professor. Is that right?
Yeah, I am the co-program director. Yeah.
And the institute has been around as long as I have, which is 1959. So this is a opportunity to learn from the people who are leading the technology frontier in blockchain, and an opportunity to learn from one of the centers of blockchain theory and development application in the world. So having this institution's name on your CV is something that people will recognize. It's a great learning opportunity. You want to say anything else about the institution, Professor?
No, I think in India everybody knows about IITs and IIT Kanpur is one of the earliest IITs. So I guess people are familiar with the legacy of IIT Kanpur.
To be in this program, you do have to have a bachelor's degree. So if you are still studying for your degree, you'll want to be, in your final year, close to graduation, close to degree award, if you don't already have your degree, because you must have it by the time you finish the program. You need to have a bachelor's degree with 50% marks or higher. Does not necessarily have to be in a technology field, but you do have to have a basic understanding of mathematics, and some exposure to Java programming is preferred, so that you can grasp the concepts, do the work. So it's possible to get the refreshers in Java programming as you join the program, but we should come in with some of that background. Can you comment, Professor, on the work experience preference? Why work experience will help people succeed in the program?
Yeah. So what we have noticed is that people who are already working or people who have work experience has a lot more enthusiasm and discipline with respect to taking a course which is quite a bit of self-paced, right? So if you're just out of university, you actually are used to exam oriented success, right? So you pass your exam, you succeed. Here there is no exam as such. So there is to succeed you have to have the hunger in yourself to learn, to excel, actually, not just to learn but to excel in what you are learning. And that kind of thing happens more in people with some job experience, when they have seen the world, seen the job world, and the competitiveness, and importance of having the skill and importance of having the fundamentals sound. But that doesn't mean we didn't make it a requirement. It is actually a desirable condition. It's not a requirement, but we suggest that if you have had opportunity to have some experience in real world jobs, then it is better.
Yeah, and to clarify, that doesn't mean work experience with blockchain, because that would be kind of self-defeating. You want to take this program to qualify for that work. So can you, Professor, describe how the program is structured so that each of the modules in the program takes you, gives you the foundation for the next module going on?
Yeah, so as I was explaining earlier, also when we were talking about the kind of different skills that you will have to learn. So we start with the Bitcoin. As I said, that's one of the it's actually the where the blockchain also it's all started. And then once we have a full understanding of how the blockchain for Bitcoin works, then we will see that it does not have the right level of programmability that we want to create applications on top of the blockchain. So then we go into Ethereum, where it was first introduced, the programmability, the smart contracts, and so on. And then we go into the issue of privacy, and the Ethereum, Bitcoin, etc., have everything out in the open, and how that actually hampers in enterprise applications where data privacy may have a lot of importance. Then we talk about permission blockchain. So we talk about and we go into Hyperledger Fabric. Then we actually show how to write smart contracts and all that stuff. How to create applications, with Ethereum or with Hyperledger Fabric. And then we, just to give you a flavor of various other distributed ledger technologies, we give some examples, a little bit introduction to Corda or IOTA, etc. And then we go into applications of blockchain by creating real applications that utilizes the blockchain technology. And then eventually the capstone project caps it all by making you do a real kind of realistic project, which would give you a real experience of being a blockchain developer.
Yeah, and it gives you also an artifact that you can show to people that says, so this was a challenge. This is the problem that I chose to solve, and here's my solution. We talked about the master classes, and they're listed here as electives, but they are included in the cost of the program. So they are available to you if and when you want to take them. And of course, as the professor said, they give you a great flavor of what's going on in the industry. So we always recommend that. Here's a couple of examples of the real world type projects that just talked about, Professor Shukla, about things that might be done as part of the course projects or the capstone project. So
right. So there will be a number of course projects where you will actually do a smart contract based development. You'll probably set up a Hyperledger Fabric network and may write a small applications there. You understand, you will learn about wallets like MetaMask. But eventually, all these things will be the components of what you will do as a capstone project. Yeah. So in a capstone project, you will take a real world problem and try to give a solution with the blockchain.
Yeah, something on the order of assume you're a supplier in an industry where you need to trace the origins and endpoints of the products for quality control, and how would you set up that blockchain, that type of thing. And of course, we've all met Dr. Shukla today. He, as I mentioned, is the coordinator of the National Blockchain Project, but also the coordinator of the Interdisciplinary Center for Cybersecurity. So you're at the forefront of two major technology areas. And we're very pleased that you set the curriculum and you hold Simplilearn accountable for delivering it to IIT Kanpur standards. Yes.
Right, right. So eventually the certificate is issued by IIT Kanpur's Continuing Education Center. So we have to make sure that it has certain standards.
Yeah. To do that, what's some of the things that Simplilearn provides? One of them is a program manager who works with Dr. Shukla and IIT Kanpur to make sure that we're meeting those standards. When you join the program, on a given date, you'll be joining with a set of other people that become your cohort. So we assign a success manager to help shepherd your group of learners along, make sure that nobody gets left behind. Of course, the instructors in the courses help you succeed in the individual courses within the program, and you have the ability to draw on support from the other members of your cohort, your peers, your fellow learners, and the way the learning management system is designed and curriculum and materials are all set up to help you succeed. So um, the learning environment lets you manage your curriculum. It will let you get an overview of your full learning path so you can see where you are so far and how far you have to go. It gives you specific guidance on what you need to accomplish to pass each of the courses within the program. It gives you access to your live virtual classroom and the virtual environment on which you do your labs and projects. Gives you access to the tests and assessments you need to pass in order to prove your competency and move on. It gives you the platform you will do your capstone project on, and allows you to collect all the artifacts from your different projects and labs in the capstone into a portfolio that you can then take with you and show off. It gives you progress tracking so that you can see what you need to do to unlock the next uh, course certificate and finally achieve your program certificate. And it includes support tools like the community feature where you can post threads that ask questions, or you can monitor the threads posted by your instructors for class discussion. You can also access our 24/7 help desk. You have a problem while you're working at 3 in the morning on a class assignment and you want to address a doubt or a blocker, you can hit our 24/7 help desk. So uh, these are some learners who have gone through the program and done some pretty amazing things. Himanshu is able to get a new job from the program. Uh, Ashwin is, was able to apply it for a client directly, so that says started applying the skills while he was still in the course, and then Ashkat was able to not only develop his own digital coin, but also earn a promotion and a salary hike within his. These are people who've achieved great things through this program. We hope we can add each and every one of you to this roster of learners. One of the things that Simplilearn provides, in addition to the instruction, is job assist services for IIM with IIM Jobs in India, which gives you access to their job portal. Also gives you access to their resume review and rewrite services. Very important because that will help you retailor your resume so that it highlights your new skills in a way that the automated bots that do the initial evaluation of resumes can see those skills, match them up to job requirements, and then the resume will still be in a format that looks good when it lands on a human being's desk or screen. And finally, the one-on-one interview service, which allows you to practice the different types of interviews, from phone screens to um, uh, skills interviews to teamwork and cultural fit interviews, all with a live practice partner. So These are all available to you for the 6-month period following your final certificate in the course. Do the course for 4 months, and then for an additional 6 months, you can draw on these services. Not a job placement service or guarantee service, but a set of tools that will help you in your job search. So, based on everything that Professor Shukla and I have shared with you, are you interested in enrolling in this program? I'll launch this poll. We'll just leave it open for about 15 seconds or so. It's a yes or no question. And I will close the poll in 3, 2, 1. And about 3/4 of our audience are interested. If I'm reading that right, yes? Show you the result here. About 3/4 of you said you're interested, and I will share with you how to accomplish that. Enrollment steps are very straightforward. You contact, first off, you should know the program fees, which are 1 lakh 69,000 rupee, inclusive of tax. EMI financing is available as low as 5,751 rupees per month. To find out the bonus offer for attending this webinar, please contact our learning consultants at ask us@simplilearn.net, and they will let you know what that offer includes for you. That's our reward to you for attending today's webinar, being here live with us, and enrolling in the next cohort. And so, and email us at ask us@simplilearn.net to submit your application. We'll review that, verify your educational and work qualifications history, and send you the admission offer if you qualify. The next cohort starts tomorrow with the induction session, but you don't have to be really, the starter class is the 5th of August. So if you are interested in getting started, you can start right away. We talk about limited seats available because we can't put a lot of people, an unlimited number of people. About 25 to 30 is about the top before it's impossible for the instructors to give sufficient attention to everyone. So if you are interested in getting started, please contact us right away. And if you're looking to start even later than this week, you can still contact us right away, and we'll keep in touch with you. And through ask us at simplilearn.net. And I want to ask the question of the people who said you were interested. How soon do you see yourself starting? Is this something you could do this week, or is it something you'd probably do in a month or two, or are you looking further down the road? I'll leave that open. And while I do, I will put into the chat information with the email address and the program webpage. Go into the chat for everyone now. And I'll close the poll. So we have a few people who are interested in getting started either this week or maybe in the September, October cohorts. For those of you who are looking further down the road, as I said, please do contact us, because we will be able to keep you informed about future cohorts in this program and answer any other questions you might have. And speaking of questions, this is the time in the program where we go to questions and answers. So, Dr. Shukla, I've got some questions in the Q&A box here. And so Ranjit, who asks, what aspects of blockchain are the ones that are most likely to get you a job quickly? Is it, do you focus on Ethereum or Hyperledger or anything, or is there really an answer to that?
Well, I mean, as I said, that it doesn't matter which blockchain, as long as you know how to use a specific blockchain to a very good level. So if you learn how to use, Solidity to learn to create applications on Ethereum, I think you will be good to go with most other blockchains. If you know how to do hyperledger application development in say Go, you will be also very good in good shape. So I wouldn't say that this blockchain is most popular in application development are Ethereum and Hyperledger for sure, but doesn't mean that you will get a job opportunity in those two only.
And we did have a question from somebody who asked about the role of Ethereum in blockchain. I think you had covered that in terms of how it provides programmability. Yes.
Yeah. So Ethereum is one of the permissionless blockchains which came right after Bitcoin and added the idea of programmability and smart contracts, and it's probably one of the most popular one on which various other blockchains depend on, or various other applications depend on, non-fungible tokens, ERC20 tokens, decentralized organizations, DAOs, various applications, even layer 2 blockchains such as Polygon. They actually are running on top of Ethereum. So Ethereum is one of the most popular blockchains at the moment.
Yeah, thank you. I want to address a question. Certified course available online to confirm that yes, we deliver this course completely online, so it's available to you wherever you are, and that you have an internet connection and a laptop or desktop device. Much of the material is also accessible to you on your mobile or tablet, so that you can do review of material, rewatch classes, or watch the self-study video materials on those devices as well. So it's very flexible in that respect. We talked about different applications. We had a question here, how blockchain is important in our daily lives, but I think we've talked about that early in the webinar, of everything from cryptocurrency to how it can transform things like food safety or any other
real estate and all that
so forth. Yes, exactly.
Identity.
And so you were developing, someone asked about the real estate side. You've developed at the India National Blockchain Project applications for blockchain and real estate for some states in India, yes?
Yeah, so in the state of Karnataka, we developed a solution for the land transaction registry on blockchain, so that it is tamper-proof. We also recently developed for city of Kanpur a different notion. It's called transferable development right, where if the government takes your land for some government development project, they can actually give you a blockchain based right, tokenized right for development of another land somewhere else, which normally you could sell to a third party or another developer. But in this case, what happens is that because it is digital, it can be easily transferred to another person. So it's a transferable development right. But earlier, if it is on paper, then it's not as transferable as the digital one is. So we developed that.
Do you see blockchain? We had a question. Do you see blockchain playing a role with customer relationship management and things like Salesforce?
Not really. I mean, I don't see one can do it with blockchain, but I don't see a reason for doing it with blockchain.
Yeah, you could see how the customer journey and the different interactions you have with them form a chain of events that could be modeled in blockchain, but the need for security and
Yeah, usually
transparency
it's a single party that has all that data. So
exactly. Yeah.
it makes not a whole lot of sense.
Yeah. On the other hand, when you get into delivery and that type of thing, you might have interfaces where Salesforce accesses data from a blockchain about that type of thing, track delivery of product to customer, but that's a separate issue.
Yeah.
We have a non-technical graduate who asks if how they would address the career transition to going into blockchain.
Well, if you are non-technical without any programming exposure, if your mathematics does not include some algebra and some things, you will have a hard time. So I wouldn't recommend it. Now, if you are going to take this course to actually say that I'm going to learn the concepts of blockchain, how it works, where it is used, this kind of stuff, that is your expectation, then you will get that from this course. But all the hands-on stuff, the programming stuff, that you are going to have a hard time with. And so if your expectation is I want to learn how blockchain works and where it is used and why it is used and things like that, you will get that, but a lot of the part of the course you will be struggling.
Yeah, if you're a non-technical graduate but you do have the background in math and programming from other activities you've done or for some of the courses you've taken, so that you have that foundation, that's one thing. If you're a non-technical graduate who doesn't have any exposure in those areas, as the professor said, that makes it very difficult for you. But there are ways to acquire that, but you would want to do that well before you enrolled in this program. How secure is blockchain technology, and where are the vulnerabilities?
Well, the vulnerabilities are many. So blockchain technology, as such, the data tampering is rather difficult. So in that sense, data integrity is good with blockchain. But you have multiple nodes which are basically computers or which are connecting to each other and which are talking to each other over network, right? So you can attack the network to stop some some parties to be completely starved from information. You can actually make smart contracts which are basically software. So they may have cyber security vulnerabilities that we have seen being exploited many times over. So smart contract vulnerabilities arise. The nodes, where the blockchain replicas are kept and worked on, those nodes are basically computers. So if you do not protect them properly with firewall and everything, the node may get compromised. So there are many vulnerabilities that can happen. So it's not. So what I'm trying to say is that these are problems with most computing systems, network computing systems anyway. But there is often a misconception that using blockchain makes everything secure. And what I'm trying to say here is that is not the case. It has this same set of problems as you would have in any set of computing systems that are talking to each other over a network and doing something together.
The difference between transaction security and the data security around it. So. And privacy concerns, are those addressed through things like private blockchain platforms, non-public platforms? How do we address these things?
No, so privacy concern. See, in permissionless blockchain, you do not have your identity disclosed easily. Although there are ways to actually eventually track your identity, but usually use a cryptographic address for your identity, which often masks who you are in the real world. But the transactions you do are usually all visible to everybody, on the blockchain, and anybody is allowed to connect to the chain and get all the information about transactions. And by analyzing the transaction with various analysis techniques, they even may uncover who is doing what. So that is a problem, privacy problem. Now, in case of a permission blockchain, you actually not everybody can join that blockchain network, and therefore they won't have access to that data. But the parties that are involved in the blockchain, they may see all the data, and that may also not be acceptable in some cases. So in many cases, we do not put all the transaction data on the blockchain. We often put the hash of the transaction on the blockchain, and therefore ensuring integrity of the data. But actual data may not be there. So there are ways to actually get privacy. There are also techniques such as zero knowledge proofs. So there are advanced cryptographic techniques by which privacy preservation can be done. So it's not like all blockchain doesn't mean that transparency yields to loss of privacy. You can design it in a way to actually do in a privacy preserving way, such that your actual application is doing what it is supposed to do.
Okay. Let's see. Do we expect generative AI to impact blockchain?
Well, generative AI has this problem that it is going to generate based on what it is trained on. And there is a lot of fake information around the world and a lot of fake identities around the world. And if you feed that data to generative AI, it will start generating fake stories and all that stuff. That's a big concern in generative AI right now. So there may be some application of blockchain technology to actually track the provenance of data, so that you can decide which data can be used for training a generative AI model and which cannot. But nobody has done that. I'm just saying that this is something that can be thought of. Generative AI also can write programs in smart contract languages. They are often slightly off, so you may have to manually correct them, but you can get a more or less skeleton of programs if you ask the generative AI the right question. You have to ask the right question. If you do not frame the right question, you will get garbage program, right? So that is a difficult thing to ask the right question. You have to know the technology to ask the right question. But yeah, generative AI can help, do simple smart contracts and all that stuff if you write the right question, and it can also often help you debug, etc. So there are many things that are coming up. So you might have heard of Microsoft Copilot. So similar things will come up in for Solidity and other languages, I'm pretty sure. So the generative AI will do some will make some changes in blockchain technology.
You have an interesting question that kind of, I think, relates to several people's situation in terms of transitioning into blockchain. We have someone who is a finance and account manager. They're making a 20 lakh payout right now. What would the transition look like for somebody? Would they look to transition into a blockchain engineering or analyst role, or would it be possible for them to learn blockchain skills and apply them within their career domain currently, so that they could remain in a senior position there?
So that's a difficult question because if their company where they're working in finance and accounting, if they are not thinking about transforming some applications that they are doing in with respect to with blockchain and stuff, even if he gets highly skilled in blockchain, he will not be able to get that kind of position. On the other hand, maybe there is another company that is a little more advanced and also. They are actually making foraying into blockchain based accounting and stuff, or maybe cryptocurrency based futures, ETFs and all that stuff. I don't know various what kind of financial company you are talking about. Maybe there is, but if you do not know programming and stuff, I think it will be very hard. So if you know programming, have a basic idea of how network works and how data structures work and so on, I think it will be pretty hard to learn blockchain to the extent where you can actually transform the way business is done in your organization.
And again, if you're looking to leave the finance domain, go into blockchain, into other domains, you're probably not going to expect a straight across salary. But
Right.
if you're looking to add blockchain technology knowledge into the domain you're working with, and if you are in an organization or know of organizations that want that combination of domain knowledge and technology skills, you have a much better chance with that. So that's
So
all the. Go ahead.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think that the expecting that a 4-month training without the right background will actually translate the way you do your job. Is not right. The right if you the attitude is that I will learn a new technology which is interesting to me, which I think that has future potential in my field, and I will wait and see when I can apply this in my field. Opportunities will come maybe in the future. Then it may be the right thing to do. But if you're expecting that, after 4 months you will be like with a similar paying job in blockchain technology, that probably is not going to happen.
Thank you for that. And that's all the time we have for questions. I know that there are more than we could get to, and I apologize if we haven't gotten to them, but we would invite you to email us at askus@simplilearn.net. You can ask some of those questions there, and you can find out about enrollment. And I want to thank Professor Shukla tremendously for being so generous with your time and your knowledge today. I know that everyone in the audience appreciates that. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I want to thank everyone who joined us this evening, or if you're elsewhere in the world this day, to learn about blockchain technology, to hear about this program. And we hope that we can welcome you all into the learning community with IIT Kanpur and Simplilearn. So again, thank you very much. And that concludes our webinar.
Thank you.